mysterious events, kinda like Area 51. So on June 5th, a mining accident happened and many miners were found dead. Only a few of them managed to survive. According to them, they found a mysterious cave in the mines with luminous things, mysterious metals, and winged skeletons. Later, the Bureau 749 immediately took over this site and marked it as classified information. Few months later, the surviving miners died due to some mysterious illness. One of the miners' wives, who was pregnant that time, managed to give birth to a mutated child. Bureau then immediately took all the skeletons and metals to their facility for further research. 18 years have passed and the city near the mine has been surrounded by a mysterious fog. So a researcher named Chow gets some secret files in his mail. It contains recent findings of the Bureau 749. Apparently, they have discovered a giant monster at the lake near the mine and took some water for the research. They found a living organism in the water which is like a smaller version of the big monster. They tried various experiments to destroy but failed. I mean, the creature can literally absorb any metal upon touching. They named the creature Organism Zero. So the Bureau is now planning to get the surviving mutated child of the mining incident for further research. His name is Mashan. Chow quickly calls his friend to move Mashan from his house. Yeah, Mashan lives with Chow and his wife's son. They run an open bar and live peacefully away from everything. Apparently Mashan has some superhuman powers and Chow gives him a medicine to keep those powers in check. Although Mashan calls them uncle and aunt, they consider him as their own child. Chow wants to keep him away from the clutches of Bureau 749. The next day, some people from the Bureau come into the bar and start searching for Mashan. Chow quickly asks Sun to take Mashan and run away to the south. They get into a car and drive away towards the city. Apparently, their every step is being monitored. Suddenly, Sun sees some police officers checking cars. She asks Mashan to take the subway in the city and go to the south. As he enters the city, he gets framed for stealing and people start running behind him. Mashan somehow manages to get away from the chasers and go to the subway station. He quickly gets in a train and realizes nobody else is entering the train. He realizes the fishy situation, but the door closes on his face. The train starts and a girl named Hua greets him. The train then changes its tracks and starts heading to the Bureau 749. As they come to the facility, she welcomes him back to his home. Apparently, Mashan was raised in the facility after losing his parents. There were other kids with superhuman powers who used to bully him for being a monster, but Hua always supported him. She then takes him inside the facility and everyone from his past welcomes him. They have grown up and consider him as their friend. Meanwhile, Chow comes to his underground research room and gets a call from Sun. He gets angry upon learning she allowed him to go through the subway. He realizes that Mashan has ended up back in the Bureau. Hua then takes him to the newly appointed director of the facility, Dong. He gets straight to the point and asks him for his help in the Organism Zero case. Apparently the monster is growing unstable and Mashan is the only one who can help them. Mashan doesn't want to involve himself again with them. However, Dong threatens him using his uncle's and auntie's name, so he has no option left but to help them one last time. Before starting with the research, Dong prepares a test for him. He then gets taken to the arena and he hands his bag to Hua. The test starts and he gets attacked by the giant metal balls. A scientist is basically controlling those balls like some VR game. Dong basically wants to bring forth Mashan's mutant powers. He performs very poorly and tries to invade from the attacks. Dr. Chun suggests stopping the test, as it might endanger Mashan's life. However, Dong orders to increase the intensity of the balls and Mashan gets cornered. He recalls the bullying incident from his past and his powers burst. His power literally breaks all the systems and everyone watches him with an open mouth. Hua gets worried and runs towards him. A weird wing-like thing grows from Mashan's back and quickly retracts. They then find Mashan's bag with a weird medicine. Later, he wakes up from a weird nightmare and sees his back wound. He is now done with this test thing and tries to run away from the facility. However, Dong locks the facility and again reminds him of the consequences. He asks Hua to take care of him, as she is the only one who he trusts. Apparently, she also has telekinesis powers and she helps him calm down. Meanwhile, Dong gets a report that the Organism Zero from the lake has expanded its size, and it is not long that it will attack the city. Dr. Chung does some research on Mashan's medicine and realizes it temporarily stops mutation in his body. Dong suspects that someone must be working behind their backs and helping Mashan. Meanwhile, Chow goes to the newspaper company and asks them to file a missing report of his son. On the other side, Dong takes Mashan to see the smaller version of the organism. He wants to see if he can communicate with the organism. Suddenly, the organism starts talking to him telepathically. It asks him to join hands and help him destroy humanity. This shocks Mashan and he doesn't tell anyone about this. However, Chung sees the data and figures out that Mashan was indeed talking to the organism. Later, they then take him to see the weird metal pieces from the cave. They are basically trying to join the metal pieces through a magnetic field. Mashan tries to walk up to the field and suddenly finds himself in a limbo. Three godly figures greet him and ask his help to save the planet. Apparently, 50,000 years ago, they landed on the planet while fighting the creature. Their ship, which can annihilate the creature, got destroyed in the process and got absorbed by the monster. They hid their little life remaining in the core. Only Masan can join back to the core as he has both creatures and their blood in him. Suddenly, Mashan's wings again come out and some of his blood falls on the metal pieces. They then start merging together, but Masan falls unconscious. On the other side, the Organism Zero realizes the threat and spreads some weird fog throughout the city. The fog then converts all the birds into some kind of monsters. These monsters start flying towards the mine pit as if they are trying to guard the Organism Zero. Big people from all over the city start complaining about these creatures and the Bureau gets into trouble. Dong has no option left but to force out Mashan's mutant powers. He makes a plan to let Masan escape the facility and attack him mentally. He asks Hua's help as he trusts her the most. However, she doesn't want to deceive him, so they resort to another girl, Yen. They create a fake emergency situation and unlock all the doors. Masan thinks of it as a perfect escape opportunity and tries to sneak out. He sees Yen asking for his help and helps her. They then together escape the facility and run towards Mashan's house. Meanwhile, Dr. Chang goes with his team to check the condition of the giant Organism Zero. Hua and Team 3, which is full of superpower individuals, get ready to capture Masan. On the other side, Dong comes to the open bar using the missing pamphlet. He finally meets Chao and realizes he's the former researcher from the Bureau. This was before Dong became the head, so he has little information on Chao. However, Dong is confused as to why he is helping the boy to suppress his powers. Chao was appointed to keep an eye on the boy, not hide him. He is basically betraying the Bureau. However, Chao finally breaks the silence that Masan never wanted to become the hero, he just wanted to be a normal human. On the other side, Masan comes to the open bar and meets his aunt. She gets happy seeing him safe and everyone starts celebrating his return. Suddenly, Organism Zero from the pit starts acting up and this also affects Masan. He takes his medicine thinking it might suppress his powers. However, Dong has replaced it with vitamin water. The monster then attacks Chang's team near the pit and here Mashan's powers explode. The wings fully grow from his back. Everyone thinks of it as some VFX scene and tries to take pictures of him. This overwhelms him and he recalls the past trauma of him being bullied. Chao and Sun try to take him out of there, but people just push them back. Dong orders his crew to capture him and they attack him with a tranquilizer dart. Masan finally realizes this was all the plan of Dong and faints. They then delete all the photos of him from people's phones. Team 3 is tasked with taking him back to the facility. However, on his way back he wakes up and escapes from the truck. Dong gets the report of him escaping and he again goes to meet Chao. He sees his underground lab and a large amount of medicine. Chao explains that he was working on the medicine for 10 years and it can temporarily stop the mutant growth. He was basically creating this medicine to stop the Organism Zero. Dong then asks his help to bring back Masan. He didn't like putting Masan through such trauma. Even though Chao is hesitant at first, he agrees to help them for humanity's sake. Few days later, Bureau decides to evacuate the city. Chao finds Masan in a tall building with the help of a tracker. He basically asks him to help the Bureau. He further tells him that he was also the researcher of the Bureau, and he was just keeping an eye on him all these years. Even though he is telling a lie, Masan believes it and this breaks Masan even more. He just flies away and decides to hide somewhere. Dong sees their only hope disappearing and gets ready for the worst. As people evacuate from the city, Chao asks his bar members to leave the area. He then hands over some money to Sun to her for her survival and asks her to evacuate immediately. He is basically getting ready to do his duty for the last time. On the other side, all the members of the Bureau bid farewell to their family and get ready to fight till the end. Their last hope to nuke the thing. Hua is worried about Masan and decides to find him. Dong asks her to say sorry to him for putting so much pressure on him. On the other hand, Chao starts preparing his helicopter with the medicine and sees Sun hasn't left yet. He gets angry with her and they even argue. However, she explains that she can't leave her family behind. She is also prepared for the worst. Later, the ground starts rumbling in the city and Organism Zero starts destroying everything. Hua finds Masan in the old orphanage where he grew up. He is hurt after knowing that his only family betrayed him. She tries to make him understand he should feel ashamed of saying such a thing about his stepfather. He saved him when he lost control of his powers and got paralyzed because of that. Even though he wasn't his real father, he cared for him. This makes Masan realize his mistake and he immediately calls Chao. Chao, on the other hand, is facing the Organism Zero. He answers the call and just utters one sentence, "Don't be scared of your wings." He and Sun then run towards the monster. They sacrifice themselves and freezes the monster temporarily with the medicine containers. This enrages Masan and he decides to return to the Bureau. However, Organism Zero detects the threat and sends the bird monsters to stop Masan. Some of the monsters go to the facility to destroy it. Dong sees the ray of hope coming back and he quickly leaves to retrieve Masan. On the other side, Masan tries to save Hua by holding her and flying to somewhere safe. However, after some time, he gets cornered. Suddenly, the Dong comes with a chopper and saves them. He then takes Masan and Hua with him to the direction of the facility. He drops them to the bureau and starts fighting the bird monsters with the Team 3. Hua quickly comes to the metal room and starts the magnetic zone. Masan spreads his wings and starts constructing the core. Organism Zero breaks from the medicine effects and starts moving to the direction of the facility. Meanwhile, Dong and others are fighting fiercely with the bird monsters. Dong sacrifices himself to save the base and says sorry to Masan before dying. The monster comes to the facility and starts destroying everything. Masan somehow completes the core. However, Hua gets captured by Organism Zero. Masan throws the core in the air and goes to save her. However, she just pushes him back and asks him to save humanity. He then flies towards the core, however gets stabbed by the tentacles. Everyone sees their hope falling apart as Masan loses consciousness. Suddenly, Masan gets a recollection of some memories when he was in his mother's womb. She knew that she was gonna die after giving birth to Masan. However, she still gave birth to the mutated child and told everyone that her boy will make everyone proud one day. Suddenly, Masan's blood comes in contact with the core and it activates. Organism Zero completely freezes off and gets sucked in by the core. Core then rebuilds a spaceship from the metal Organism Zero absorbed all these years. The 3 giant aliens finally appear in front of Masan and thank him for saving the world, and they ask him to continue protecting Earth in the future. Few months goes by and humans create a museum to represent their hero with the wings. Masan visits the museum and sees a beautiful line saying, "When the world gives you scars, grow your wings from the wounds." He has saved humanity, however there is something still missing.